We thank you for today. We thank you for the freedom that you have gifted us in your Son, Jesus Christ. Thank you for this opportunity to just spread more knowledge and interact and fellowship with one another. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. So, good afternoon, everyone. Good evening.
I don't know if it's on.
Is it on?
Should be the button on there.
All right. How we doing now? All right. All right. All right. All right, hi Frankie D. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you? I'm doing
great. How was your Juneteenth? How you have a good Juneteenth?
Yeah, Juneteenth was good.
Okay.
I definitely had a good time. I didn't make it to a Juneteenth cookout.
No
That's becoming more of a thing. So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I can host one or something soon.
Yeah. You gotta make sure you enjoy the festivities because now we have July 4th. Will you be celebrating July 4th?
Yeah, I guess in like a normal
way, yeah.
Not working kind of way.
I get it. Like, I'm going to take the day off, even though y'all didn't give us the day off, 400 years ago? But okay. I love that. I actually got to spend time with my grandparents over in Delaware. So I got to spend time with with them, just talking about, we talked about Juneteenth a little bit. Okay. So that was kind of cool. He's very...
pro-black,
fight the power type of dude. So when you think about Juneteenth, we're thinking this is a new holiday. How do you think that this holiday came about? Oh, let me pause right quick, Frankie. Okay. So I want y'all also to understand that this is an interactive experience. So those of you who are in the audience, and even those of you online, if you're on Facebook or if you're on our website, on YouTube, we're also engaging with you. So as we're having our conversation, we'll open the floor as well for different comments as well so that you guys can also interact with us because we're going to have some fun during our time as well. So thank y'all for joining us. Okay, sorry, Frankie. I had to make that announcement.
No, for sure.
So going back to you, we're talking about Juneteenth. It's a new holiday. How do you think this came about? How do you think that we, made it a holiday for everybody?
Well, I'm sure it's definitely taking some hard work, a lot of advocacy on behalf of the Black diaspora.
Yeah.
Definitely some, legislation being put in place and things like that. And it had been being celebrated for some time, kind of like, I guess, a bit unofficially.
Yeah, unofficial Juneteenth.
With it being a federal holiday, it's kind of different. It's funny, my dad and I have taken up golf as a hobby.
Oh, fun.
And we go to practice the other day. And I'm like, it's Wednesday. Like, why all these people at the golf range?
Okay.
And then I'm like, duh, it's Juneteenth, so everybody's off work now.
Everybody's off.
Yeah, so it's interesting even.
Yeah.
And I hate to feel like, the holiday doesn't mean to them.
Yeah, no, I felt the same.
It's just a day off work.
Yeah, so I'm like, y'all going to the beach today.
Yeah, it kind of makes me mad. It's just another day for them to play golf.
Yeah, another day.
Yeah, it's definitely taking some hard work by Black people on the behalf of Black people.
On the behalf of us.
To get it to be recognized federally, so.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's been just a legislation is what I'm hearing from you, as well as some other things. Did anyone out here in the audience also celebrate Juneteenth for the first time this year? Or have anyone celebrate Juneteenth in a unique way this year? Also, Facebook, did you guys celebrate Juneteenth in a great way this year? Or I see some no's. Shatia right here, she said, nah, nothing special, huh? At work. Oh, let's talk about that. They worked a Black woman on Juneteenth. Wow.
What a country.
What a world we live in. Working on. How many of y'all had to work? Anyone had to work on Juneteenth? Okay, we got 2. Okay. Oh, another one had to work. Oh, okay. Yeah. All day long. So we're living in a world where we see Juneteenth is transitioning into a holiday, and some folks have not, or employers, I should say, have not acknowledged it. So when we talk about, as we're moving to a space where the holiday is now a holiday and we have folks who may not understand it, how do we educate people about the significance of it? Specifically, maybe our youth, or maybe even those people who, don't look like us, non-Black people. How do we tell them about the significance, or should we, tell them? Is this just something for us?
Sure. I think for me personally, that can be a bit tricky.
Yeah.
I don't know that I feel a sense of responsibility to educate white people on our history.
Yeah.
If I'm asked, I'm not too stubborn to engage.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the information is out there, and for the most part, because of the Black person's or Black man, Black woman's plight in America, we've had to find out our history just like anybody else could. We haven't just known it to begin with, which is a bit of a problem. So if I have to search my own history, why would I have a responsibility to teach you my history? That's kind of how I feel. I know that some people may see that as a bit
I love it because it's real. Yeah. It's real because sometimes we're in situations as Black people where we have someone who, maybe a white person, that may say, oh, can you teach me about Juneteenth? Or what should I do? And what I'm hearing from you is like, hey, that's not my responsibility to tell you how to celebrate this day. And then we think about even in our country, we now have states who are eliminating Black history altogether. I forgot what the actual legislation is called, but they're really actively working to just eliminate that. Like there will be no conversations about slavery in our schools. So how do you feel about even the elimination of our history, even though it's whitewashed anyway, so they're going to tell a different version, but to say we're not even going to talk about that. Yeah. How do you feel about that? What do you think about that?
I think it's just another thing that honestly can, it's kind of one of those things that's made us a bit uncomfortable, operating in this country, because we've often felt, just ostracized and, marginalized for a number of reasons. So with us being a minority and, being so out of touch with our history, for you to do things, like right in our face.
Yes, right in our face.
Yeah, you're trying to displace us from our history and where we come from. So it's just another thing that makes you feel like you don't belong.
You don't belong, and that has been America's history. Is let's just come over here into this new land, and then the folks who've been here or that we brought over here, we're going to pretend that everything was always great. Yeah. So I love that perspective. So another thing I'm thinking about is going back to the forming of Juneteenth as a holiday. We had George Floyd protest, and we had the signs that says Black Lives Matter. I think we even have some on our stage today. So we've had things like that. Do you think that Black Lives Matter movement played a role in Juneteenth and just the way that society has begun to I'm going to say it, symbolically really celebrate Black culture?
I definitely think it played a role. I think there were some protests in, countries that we never quite even saw as allies.
Yes.
During that time. And it was, the whole global pandemic and things like that.
Pandemic, yeah.
It's like all eyes were on the news, really, because there wasn't much going on elsewhere. So for, all of these countries to kind of show that they were,
in solidarity
with us, it definitely sparked a movement quite like we haven't seen before.
We've never seen before,
We saw a different level of representation from a lot of different countries. So, yeah, I think it would definitely have played a direct role in them, garnering the attention to be able to push Juneteenth to a federal holiday.
I get that. I felt the way. I'm going to be honest. Mm-hmm. I felt the way during that time because it seemed as though there was a lot of symbolism. Mm-hmm. It's like we're going to do black boxes on our Instagram, but then as we move forward, what was actually done? Yeah. What was actually done? But I'm interested in to hear you guys' thoughts in the audience and also on Facebook. What did you guys think about the George Floyd movement and the different protests that were happening, the Black Lives Matter? What did you guys think about that? Specifically, those of us who may have come from a different generation. Was that a different experience for you? What did you think about that?
Okay, so I had a comment about something else, but I will make a comment on this as well. So the protest was my first time ever experiencing a protest in general on African Americans. Okay. So when I'm watching it on TV, it's very emotional. It brought a lot of emotional feelings. As a student, we didn't really get history as much on the African American struggles. Yeah. And so I pretty much was going to say that even now today as an educator, they are very limited even in the instructional books on our African American struggles, on slavery, how we became who we are today, why there was so much hatred for us in our culture. We don't see that in the African American classrooms at all in the textbook. Yeah. So for our students and our children coming up, it's very valuable and important. And I think that the protest and things like that just made it more awareness to us as adults for our children and to our children now understanding Black history as a whole. So schools, we talked about Black History Month, and that was really the only time, and that wasn't even instructional. It was kind of like us including it in our instruction versus it already being there. So I feel like for me, the protest brought a lot of more awareness to me, made me understand it more because it was right there in my face. Whereas in school, it wasn't in my face.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I love that. I think it brought forth, a lot of things that we try to sweep under the rug. I think they were all brought to the forefront. Okay. I don't know. Okay. So now we're going to additionally talk about going back to Juneteenth. And we had... Oh, I'm sorry. We have another question. Okay, or another comment.
Yeah, I think what the George Floyd thing did was it brought visible to the world what was always known by us. I think we always felt like we weren't treated fairly. But for the first time, you saw a man being choked to death, and there was no discrepancy about what happened. It was clearly caught on film, and for 7.5, 9 minutes, whatever, you watch a police officer kneel on a person until he's dead. And you got to be dead. You literally have to be dead in your senses to watch that and not no, something's wrong with this. Yeah. Regardless of what he did, if he's passing off a fake bill, which wasn't confirmed, he's not resisting, I think that in itself along with the pressure from seeing people in France and other parts of the world, it became a movement. The saddest part was someone had to die brutally before people become outraged. I think so I do believe that had he not been murdered the way he was, nothing would have changed.
Yeah.
But I think the police reform and the other things that happened, for me, it's sickening that a man had to die the way he did in order for our nation to move. And even then, we've moved, but already began to take away other stuff like, well, we're going to give you this, but if we give you this, we're going to take it out the classrooms and we're going to take other stuff away from you. Like, you can't get this and keep everything else that you got.
Everything else. Yeah. No, thank you so much for that comment. That was very profound.
Yeah.
I went to a protest right here in Prince George's County. I forget which city, one of these municipalities, and part of the protest was they made us kneel down for 7 minutes. And so as we're sitting, I'm like, this is a long time. It's like, in theory, you think, okay, 7 minutes. But actually, in that position for 7 minutes, it really opened my eyes. I mean, I knew it was, a horrific incident that happened, murder. Let me not say incident. That was a murder. A horrific murder that happened. But the fact that he knew, you don't get in that's an uncomfortable position. So I just, but that comment reminded me of just how gruesome that was. And then we think back we have our police brutality, and then we have our, slave catchers that were back in the 1800s and prior to that. So my question to you, and talking about, police brutality and Juneteenth. So what are some similarities that you see, or progress, even similarities you see between our, our ancestors and the hardship they endure, into how we can see that in society? Or what are some ways we have seen progress compared to, back in slavery times into modern day times?
Sure. Well, I mean, quite honestly, I got a lot more similarities than things that have improved.
Yeah.
And I'll just be honest, I think I have some views that by some people can even be seen as like a bit radical, but I'll try to be fair.
That's all right.
I'll try to be fair for the sake of this conversation.
All right, I appreciate it.
I think just quite frankly, the idea that we have to fight for so much is what obviously remains. That we're not just seen or accepted as equal, but it's something that we have to fight tooth and nail just for like an ounce of progress. That certainly remains. I think if we look at the, advancement of technology and just, how many more opportunities we're afforded, there's clearly some progress there. And I think a lot of what I've experienced in my own life, I think is the progress, is definitely there in certain areas. But in terms of some of the policies and legislation that remain, it can certainly seem a bit superficial.
Yes. Yes. Like, what was that new thing that just came out? The not equal employment, but what is the thing they're trying to get rid of? What is it?
Anybody? Is it about the hiring process?
Not hiring. It's like in schools. Yes, affirmative action. Yeah, wow. like as far as we talked about legislation.
Yeah. So there's a lot that, again, most people don't necessarily know about, but those are the things that they kind of shape the world that we grow up in.
Absolutely.
And so
absolutely,
it can be like it's like somebody handing you an apple, but in the back is bitten out of it. It's like
okay.
It can look good, but it's like,
is this really going to help?
Yeah, when you see the whole thing, you wouldn't like it. Yeah. So I've personally just experienced a lot of that in my own life, and even to the point he was making about the visibility of the Black experience, and what, how George Floyd's that whole just point in time, how it brought visible what we already experienced.
Yes,
I think about that a lot because I haven't had too many adverse experiences with the police, but it's strange to me how, just growing up in D.C. and like even now, I can be just driving somewhere, minding my business. And if I hear the siren real quick, like it's sending chills to my body. And I hate that.
Yeah.
But it's like I know I can be doing nothing wrong.
Absolutely.
And just the sound of it or the seeing the lights in my rear view is just like, am I about to get pulled over? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I've been followed home for no reason.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so it's just the things like that, which I certainly agree. Most people, especially our white counterparts, they just don't experience law enforcement in that kind of a way where you just, you're
like
fearful.
Scared. Like,
just wondering.
Are they gonna come after me even though I did nothing wrong?
Yeah, like because I was speeding a little bit. Does that mean I'm going to jail? Like it's something weird gonna happen.
Yes.
Are they gonna plant something in my car?
They're gonna kill me.
Yeah, you just never know. And
that's
you see some of the ways that white people even the audacity they have talking to law enforcement. It's just like I couldn't imagine. Because I think my life's on the line.
What do you mean, pull my window down?
Yeah,
no, like
pulling off on the police and all kind of stuff. So, I've definitely seen some progress.
That's
I think
good.
in comparison to the things that remain the same, it can seem
disheartening.
Yeah, like some sprinkles on a pile of poop, honestly.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. I see Shatia over there. Did you have a question, comment?
More like a comment.
Yeah.
Just experiencing something like that is, one day, Calvin's phone died.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't home, at the normal time. I'm like, okay, is he okay? I'm calling back to back. And instantly my mind went to, oh my God, did he get pulled over? Did they shoot him?
Yeah.
And I'm literally in tears and like afraid because, it was because he wasn't home and I couldn't reach him. And it was just literally that his phone died, but it was sad to me that I had to go to that thought process and to that extreme to think that he might have just got pulled over for something simple and it could have killed him on the side of the road and I don't know it.
As a Black wife, that's a real feeling, and I'm sure all my moms in here can even feel that on a deeper level, especially if you have a Black son. I have another question or comment, sir.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Even though when you watch TV in today's society, it is still painful to see the stuff that they did to us back in the day. It was this lady just this week on TV, and they ran her off her land that was hers, and took the land from her. 80 years later, they come back to give her the land back, and they built her a house on the land. But the painful part of it is that the stigma was still there because she should have been living on that land all those years.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So now when she come back and get the house, when she's sitting on the front porch, she said, well, maybe the Lord will let me live in it a couple of years before I die. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
symbolic. They took that from her
all this time.
and now she might have only a couple of years to live in the house that they gave her back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's a stigma of all the slavery things that they did to us back in those days that still follow us today.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. Do we have some comments from online?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So Ms. P. Harris said, it is interesting that just a few school systems incorporate throughout the year culture curriculum to include Black history, but on Juneteenth, schools have closed and not really incorporated before school ends. And then A. Clark says she believes that protests have always been utilized, but the George Floyd movement galvanized us as a community more.
Yes, I love that. Absolutely. Thank you for the comments. Y'all keep commenting online. We love to hear your feedback. Okay, we have another comment. Yes.
I just wanted to mention that on Juneteenth, I watched 42.
Okay.
And I had never watched it all the way through. I had seen bits and pieces, but, it really brought tears to my eyes watching some of that and how what Jackie Robinson went through in order to, and with Frankie making the comments like a pile of poop with sprinkles on it, and a lot of that happened in that movie. You get to play with us, but your teammates gonna treat you like you're nothing, and they're not gonna want to shower with you, and and all this stuff. And so it was it's just, of course, and when they talk about dates, it's like, that wasn't too long ago.
That was not too long ago. Yep.
1966, 1967, 1968. I'm like, I was born then.
Yeah.
So it's not like things have radically changed in my lifetime.
Yeah.
We were fighting when I was born, still fighting.
Yeah.
And we're still fighting, but it's, when I hear certain dates, it's like, that wasn't a long time ago.
Not that long ago, yeah.
So we, again, still need to be pushing and doing what we can to educate and to help. And I also wanted to mention that when it comes to like affirmative action and different things with hiring practice and systematic, racism.
Yes.
It's like, sometimes it seems like they will only let us go but so far.
Yeah. This the line.
Exactly. You're not going to cross this line. I'll let you go up to the line, but don't think you're going to cross it.
Yes.
Or you're not going to go as far as, as high as you could, as your the other folks go.
Yeah.
And I think we need to just fight more for that, to be able to, because we know as much, we're as smart, we get the same degrees.
It's not better.
We pay the same money to get those degrees.
Yeah.
So we should be able to get those same jobs.
Absolutely.
And make that same money. But it's like they don't want you to make but so much.
So much. Yeah.
So, you're not we're gonna stop you right here, and that's gonna be it.
That's it. Yeah. Thank you so much. That was phenomenal.
We have another comment on YouTube.
Okay, YouTube.
W. Johnson says, teaching others help emphasize the importance to us. Most Black people don't know their history, especially those under 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. We have another comment I want to,
Just going back to what Frank said, I also want to add that I think we haven't seen much progress. We've just seen a lot of performance.
Because performative.
When you go back to like 2020, and George Floyd and just the height of Black Lives Matter, that movement, there was a lot of brands, there's a lot of companies that just had to put something out because we got to still make the sales.
Yeah,
right?
let's
so it's
make
like,
the sale.
Let me put my social media posts out. 20% off on, and then like now it's 2024, and this has been like the most silent Juneteenth since George Floyd.
On it.
From my perspective, and I was just talking to Frank about that. Like I don't know what it is, but I feel like I haven't heard anything.
Yes.
And like when we talk about, how did you celebrate? Like society reinforces for the people what to do. So if you're not telling us or giving us instruction of what to do, it's just going to be another day. The 4th of July would just be another day if we weren't seeing like Old Navy has a bunch of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
a lot of
bunch of
apparel.
clothes that's 4th of July. We have all of the performance, and we have all of the production. We have all of the literature. So that's why we celebrate.
Absolutely.
But if all of that were erased, we wouldn't do anything. So I think the same, it has to be that for Juneteenth. And unfortunately, if we aren't in those positions, or we don't have allies that are speaking on our behalf that hold those positions, we're going to be like this for the next 15, 20 years until it's like in the schools. And it has to, we have to have reform. We have to have stuff that's going on that then says, oh yeah, we're going to celebrate Juneteenth. Or it's just going to be individual families just celebrating.
Yeah, in our backyard. I love that. Yeah.
No, that's an interesting comment too, because just the other day I was thinking about how so many, or the holidays that celebrate so many different cultures or ethnicities, how they get embraced. Most white people don't have any, Latino heritage or anything like that. And they'll be the first ones celebrating Cinco de Mayo.
Everything.
And that's not even a day off work, but they like, oh, let's go to the bar after work, or we doing tacos and margaritas.
Yeah.
And then Juneteenth come, you know what I'm saying? Like, at least, I don't know, about some fried chicken or something. Like, I don't know if you're that excited on Cinco de Mayo. You can show some excitement for, what we care about too. So, it's like, I hate to be pessimistic, but that thought did just creep into my mind.
I totally get that.
The other day, there's a lot more excitement for the other holidays. Than ours.
Oh my goodness. That reminded me of some discussions I had with some white people. And we were talking about, what are you doing for Juneteenth? And I'm going to the beach with my family. And it really literally was like 4th of July for them. Like as far as we're going to celebrate this day as a day off.
Yeah.
A lot of people were it's just a day off. It's not necessarily any significance to some people. So I felt like that was very interesting. And I'm glad that that was a really great comment.
Yeah. I had a
discussion.
thought too. I can't remember whose comment kind of gave me a thought, but there's we were kind of talking about policies and things like that. And so when it comes to research, like I can really be like a deep diver. Like I'll find a piece of information and no, it's great, but it can be bad. It can be bad. Like I can start like deep diving and then like I'm getting like a bit mad. I get like emotionally a little overwhelmed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I started noticing that when I started reading. I haven't even finished to this day. That's how overwhelmed I got. But I got maybe from my dad. I think I got Martin Luther King's last book that he wrote before he passed. So it's called Where Do We Go From Here? And this was the book when he booked like a private villa somewhere, maybe like Jamaica or the Bahamas or something like that. And he had like no phone, no TV.
That's good.
And he just started writing. So I get this book and one day I'm like, I'm going to start reading. I'm like 60 pages in like 30 minutes. I'm just going for it. And then I stop and it's like I got so much information to take in that I don't even get back into it. But I started learning about specifically to DC, like the effects of redlining when it comes to real estate.
Absolutely.
And I started learning about the landscape of DC and why certain demographics of people live where they live.
Yeah.
And so there was a document called a racial covenant.
Okay.
And
teach us.
Yeah, so this document came into play specifically when there was like a sale or transfer of, deed when it came to a certain home.
Okay.
And in this racial covenant, and I wish I had a picture of it.
Yeah, I wish you could put it
you
on
could see, like down to the exact language used in it, that no Negro could like purchase, rent, or even inherit certain property. Wow. Meaning like somebody could, let's suppose a white person wanted to be generous and give you it. Yeah. Because you're black, you couldn't inherit it for free. And then you look at the addresses where these documents were, Yeah. And it's all parts of the Northwest. Woo. It's all parts of Georgetown. All the places where you see white people live now in these homes are $2, $3, $5 million, right? Yeah. And so it was so baffling to me because, I grew up in DC and you kind of get your idea of the way the world works based on what you see. Right, and so to a degree you get this idea of that black people have like this innate like ineptitude, honestly, in comparison to white people, where it's just like we can only do and achieve so much. Like and that's just natural to us. Like we're just not as good. And so you see documents like this that confirm the complete opposite, where it's like they're really they're not particularly impressive or more skilled. But they just constantly get the resources that we're denied all the time. Yeah, so you think, white people, they just got all this money. And,
no, it's systematic.
Yeah, but it's like we were denied opportunity to purchase and inherit property that we had every right to purchase and inherit. And so I say the deep diving and research, it can be bad because sometimes I learn so much that I get frustrated. Yeah. And, then when you got to even walk past somebody on the street, it's like, man, like, I don't know. I could be anywhere mentally from wanting to grit on you or punch you in the face.
Like, I'm just mad.
I could really be mad.
Book right now.
Yeah, and it's like that's
Martin Luther King said. Yeah,
it's really get it. It can take me to a place that I shouldn't be emotionally sometimes. But I also feel such a responsibility to know it because I feel like my ancestors would have it to be that way.
Oh, we couldn't read. There was so many things they did to us if they even caught us reading.
Yeah, and we're so disconnected from our history that it's like I would hate to feel like that I'm not doing what's easily within my grasp just to know some of it. Because it wasn't given to us mostly in the school system. Like
not at all.
You kind of got this idea that the transatlantic slave trade was almost like a barter system.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like they just came over there and talked to us and said, hey, well, we got this over here. Like, y'all ain't doing too good over here.
You want to come to America?
Y'all want to hop on the boat? Like, it's pretty cool over here. Like, that's the way it's taught. Like, we were just like, okay, let's go. No chains.
No chains.
We walk on the boat.
Yeah.
And so that it can really be disheartening when you find out the truth below the surface.
Yeah, because it's like below the surface.
And not having any, white counterparts who are, willing to be allies,
allies are important.
Knowing that they
Very
have
important.
more influence when it comes to legislation and things like that. Being able to stand on the front line with us saying, I know what your experience is, and I know how you saying it doesn't go as far as me saying it, so I'm willing to say it for you.
Yeah. I heard a story, some of you guys may know this, of a woman who had a white person, a black woman had a white person to, she had to have a white person in order to purchase her home. So it's just a lot of that has gone on into our history. And now that we talk about, the deep dive and just having all this knowledge and what do I do with this, I want to know your thoughts about reparations. Do you think that is something that we as Black people deserve? Like, how do we quantify it? Is that something that we can quantify? And what could that amount be? And the reason I asked this question is I did see there's a show called Blackish. Any of y'all ever heard of Blackish? So there's a show called Blackish, and they talked about how we built this country. And that looked like slavery. I think one slave, I went to the National African American Museum of History, something like that, Smithsonian, downtown. And I think one slave was worth maybe, it was a lot of money. I can't even quantify it, but it was like almost like a house, like as far as how much the value of one slave was. So we literally, America got rich off of our backs, our labor, our free labor. And so the episode of Blackish, the show, it just talked about, how we were, breastfeeding some of the children and how we were, the economic value of slavery and how much that built America up to be the number one top economic country in the entire world. So when we talk about the tangible contributions that we have made to this country, what do you think about reparations?
I think reparations is 100% the direction we should go in. I think if we're looking at the reality of how we got to this current, Black experience in America, it's not, the whitewash idea that's often pushed, which is that we have enough and that we mismanage what we have.
Yeah.
So if we're going to recognize that that's the truth and that the reason for the wealth gap and things of that nature is because of resources being given to one person or one group of people and not given to another group of people over X amount of years.
Yeah.
And that's post-slavery.
Yeah,
that's after the 400 years of getting us to work for free. But then you can't enslave us anymore, mostly. And so then the war on drugs and, all of this kind of stuff, the prison, school to prison pipeline.
War on drugs,
all of this thing. You do all of this
pipeline.
stuff that's kind of like under the, it's under the surface. You got to know something to know what's going on. And so you do things that way. But the wealth gap is still being increased by, all of these policies that you got going on. And it's really, again, this group of people gets opportunity and resources.
Yes.
This group does not.
Yes.
So if you're going to undo that, reparations is the only thing that can do that. And it can be quantified because we're in a technological age that can almost quantify anything. They can find dinosaur bones in the ground and tell you how long it's been there. So if you can find that, you can tell me, multiply, add it up. I don't know.
Add it up. Okay.
I don't got the computers, but somebody got it. You can fly to the moon. You can add up how much money you owe us. And that's what I think about it. And I think because they don't want to mitigate this wealth gap that they've so unfairly created, it's just much more convenient to go with this idea that, hey, it's not too bad for you guys. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't like it, go back to where you came from. But in reality, if the wealth gap is mitigated via, reparations or whatever, and we get those policies enacted that benefit us and just make us feel, welcome in this country, things will be a lot different. And white people will be a lot more uncomfortable in this country.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Then they have to actually deserve something. You know?
You gotta,
so reparations is exactly what's needed. And I'm sure it would be trillions upon trillions of dollars. And that's just showing, again, to Minister Robinson's point, how painful it is, just to review our history, because this is what we've always deserved.
Always,
and so I can only imagine how emotional of a moment that would be to actually get the reparations, not just because we deserve it, but because of how long ago we should have had it.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I'm sorry, I have a comment. You have a comment? No, yeah, we love it.
But I feel like my thought is a little bit radical, but I don't believe we will actually get reparations until there's like another civil war. Because I don't see, one, like it's been a lot of conversation around like, can America even afford reparations, right? And then two, like how do you repay the people you have stomped for years, right? Without fear being there. So like, I feel like realistically, it probably wouldn't happen until we are literally burning America to the ground and rebuilding anew. Because to me, it's like an animal in a cage. Like,
right, Nat Turner.
I'm gonna give you a banana, and give you a little more. But it's like, if you were to level the playing field and take the animal out of the cage. Yes, it's not supposed to be in a cage.
Yeah.
And you captured it and you put it outside of its environment. And then you like give it these little treats, but it's like, you had no business going into its environment and taking it out for your own financial or whatever gain. So how could you actually go back and give the money without fear being there?
Without that fear.
And I think because the fear is there, they're not going to just not going to pay us back.
Yeah.
And I think it would only come, in my opinion, by like force of some sort of taking it. Because, I don't see America just wiping its emotion.
And even acknowledging it. Like,
that's a good point.
Can we acknowledge
That's where it starts.
Like Juneteenth, like I don't see Juneteenth ever being a celebrated holiday the way that it should be, as long as we are still having conversations about Columbus Day. Yeah. Like the two can't exist. We're still having arguments around whether Columbus was a man of morality or mass murder. It's like,
right.
Yeah, how can we celebrate Juneteenth and also celebrate a mass murderer?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like once that's burned down, then we can actually celebrate
rebuild
what's supposed to be celebrated. And the same with reparations.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. That was very brave. I commend that. We have another comment.
Yes.
Oh,
so W. Johnson says Jewish culture tells their history to create strength. Why is our Black history not told without it having to be a holiday? Is the lack of George Floyd being a holiday the reason there is no unified collective actions to create change?
Very great comment.
Powerful.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there has to be a couple of things. One, Frederick Douglass is quoted for saying, absolute power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, it never will. So I think our biggest problem is we don't get anything because we don't have demands.
Yeah.
But you can't get demands without numbers. So the numbers have always come from grassroots efforts.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hard work that happens behind the scenes in house meetings, in community meetings, and 10 people turn to 100, 100 turn to 1,000. And when the numbers get big enough, America responds. Our issue is we don't have numbers.
Yeah.
Now, I want to challenge you all, and I'm doing this intentionally, because everything that people have gotten in this country has been because of young people.
Right.
Dr. King, when he gets started, is in his 20s. He's murdered before he's 40. So he turns the world upside down as a young person. Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, King,
Giants.
all of them are young. John Lewis, they're all young. Jesse Jackson, they're young.
Marcus Garvey.
Yeah, they're young. And our young folks today, there isn't this burning, like y'all can turn the world upside down if you aimed it concertedly to say, like, you're the smoothest talkers. You can make music that flips the world upside down. You're the best shooters. You're the best dunkers. You're the best runners. You're the best tacklers. You can hit baseballs better than anybody. You can sing better than anybody. You can paint better than anybody. Whatever you put your mind to, you can do it better than anybody in the world. I believe the challenge is that our young people of today got to get ticked off like Malcolm was, ticked off like Martin was, ticked off like Medgar was, ticked off like Mandela was, and then say, oh, we're going to do something about this, right? And it's not so much of what am I wearing, but what's happening for my community.
Yeah.
And so I think the church has a responsibility of making sure that that happens also. But I think I think we are saying that there's something wrong in our community, and then we're expecting people outside of our community to sympathize with us.
Yeah.
When they don't see that this is a big deal to us, then it ain't gonna be a big deal to them. So when they see that this is a priority, then I think they don't have any other choice but to make it a priority. George Floyd being killed wasn't a priority for them. We made it a priority. And I'm saying we can make what's happening in elementary schools and in policies and all of that stuff, all of those things that impact us should be a priority for them, but it won't happen until it's a big priority for us.
Big priority for us. Thank you so much for your comment and that rally for us. Do you have any responses to that?
No, I definitely agree. I think the challenge for me is it's such a cycle that perpetuates itself.
Yeah, it is a cycle.
And you know, just knowing how much is done by design, it can leave you feeling a bit crippled in a sense, because having your history stripped from your community, but then charging yourself and your community with learning in yourself, like, that's just unfair if you're just going to say it for what it is.
Okay.
But I also see on the flip side of that, it's like, how else do you get it?
How else do you get it? Yeah,
because the people who robbed you of your history, they're not like, oh, sorry, here's your history back.
Yeah.
So if we don't get it ourselves, we don't get it.
We don't get it.
But that's just another thing that we're charging ourselves to get for ourselves when everything is always taken from us. So it's
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It is. That is a tough one. So we're wrapping up now, but before we have our final words, I just wanted to have get us a little trivia questions, and there is an opportunity for you to actually win a prize.
That's some nice prizes back here.
Yeah, so we got some nice prizes. So our first trivia question that we have is, who is known as the grandmother of Juneteenth? And online, you guys, oh no, I don't know if they might try to Google it. But anyone know?
Online, y'all got 15 seconds.
The grandmother of Juneteenth. All right, I'm gonna give y'all 3 seconds.
We conceding on this one?
Gone. All right, so no one in this room has answered it. Don't know if anybody online either. So the answer to that is Opal Lee. Opal Lee. So everybody write that down. Remember Opal Lee. She is our grandmother of Juneteenth. All right, my next question. I think I'm going to have some answers to this. So this one I'm going to say, the first person who raised your hand and give the right answer, we'll give this one out. What state was the first to declare Juneteenth a state holiday, and what was the year?
And maybe we can make that a 2-part. Somebody gets the state and somebody got the year. Because y'all didn't do the first one too good.
I'm going to attempt. It's Galveston, Texas, June 19th, 1865.
Texas is right.
Texas is right. the year was off as far as when it was celebrated. Should we give it to her though, y'all?
Yeah, I think let's make that a two-part. So that's one part of it. What about the year? It was more recent than you think.
All right, I'm gonna give.
No, not that.
No.
Yeah, that was 1865 is more so like the commemoration of it.
That was the commemoration. When the
this state they declared it a state holiday before it became federal. All right.
1990 is the answer to that one. All right. So our final question.
Yeah, and Pastor can't answer this one. We already told him why he can't answer this one. So.
Final question. Go ahead, Frankie D.
Okay, so this one is, which woman is famous for the phrase, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired?
Fannie Lou Hamer.
Absolutely.
Hey, you got it.
We still got one more prize, right? Maybe, can we do a bonus question or something? You want to try a bonus question so we can get rid of this last one? Actually, yeah, I got a good one.
Okay.
So this, I know some people that's gonna know this one.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So this young man is famous, and I'm paraphrasing a bit. I don't know the quote 100%. But he essentially says to be black and relatively aware in this country is to be in a constant state of rage. Yeah. Oh, somebody else want to say it and get the prize?
James Baldwin.
James Baldwin is correct.
All right, what about what year was the Emancipation Proclamation signed? Yes. Mm-hmm. Who said 1776?
1776.
Who said the 18? I think Auntie. Yeah, so we're going to get.
She said she don't need another one. You can donate it then.
All right, y'all. So we are wrapping up, but I wanted to open the floor just for your final thoughts. I'll wrap up with my thoughts. Think we have time for questions, but I just want to know any final thoughts you have about Juneteenth, about Black history, about being Black, just anything you want to share as we wrap it up.
Sure.
Hold on.
Oh, Michael.
We'll do a comment, then we'll wrap it up. Go ahead.
I just had one quick question just to get you guys' thoughts. Just in the terms of progress, it was shocking to me to learn that we still have sundown states.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Do you guys think that it ever will go away or no?
I don't think so. Right.
Yeah,
I think it's always going to be a thing unless we make that not a thing and say this should be illegal. The same way lynching was legal or not illegal, I would say. Mm-hmm. And I think it still is like not a federal crime. Well, it's something that's not right about some of the laws that we have and the way that we're still back in the 1800s. Yeah. Well, go ahead, Frankie. I'd love to hear your final thoughts.
We can move off of that talk. This country does have a very sick history. It really does. But no, all in all, I'm grateful for this opportunity to share. I think it's amazing that our church saw fit to make a moment out of this and not just let the holiday pass. So I'm proud that we even, went as far as doing this. And I hope it's not just a, beyond this being an annual thing, that would be great. But just, some more initiatives to educate, because I do think we have a responsibility to educate, ourselves and the younger generation, because we know what's not being taught in schools. But, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share. You did an amazing job hosting tonight.
Thank you.
Let's give it up for her. But no, just super grateful for tonight. really what this night represents, and definitely grateful for all who decided to tune in online and come out in person here.
Absolutely. I echo everything you just said. Your thoughts are very powerful, and just being able to hear your voice as far as just history, it was like a history book, history lesson. So I'm very grateful for sharing the stage with you. And my closing thoughts are, let's remember, Juneteenth is a day of celebrating how far that we've come as a people, and let's keep fighting. Let's not be we can line dance and all that, but let's also make some tangible change. Let's push legislation. Let's educate our children and our grandchildren about our history so that the legacy continues, that we can make this holiday not just a holiday where we wear shirts, but that this is a space where we can educate and lead to transformation throughout our whole community. Look, I'm about to give our church mission statement. But shout out to Southern Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. I want to give honor to our awesome pastor, First Lady, for also just being amazing. So thank y'all for joining us, and y'all have a great night. He gave fake applause.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, okay. Should have did mic drop. All right, cool.
That was actually fun. Juneteenth.